It's podcast number 7.
Hello. It's kind of...
This is a fun intro.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to smoothly transition to our topic.
It's Conscious Ohms podcast number 7, and today is a bit, I don't want to say like sad.
Yeah.
Because it's not sad. What we're about to talk about. It's
relevant.
It's relevant. Today's topic is going to be death. Obviously, from the title, people would already know that.
Yeah.
Death in a bunch of different perspectives. Not only mine and yours, but we also want to talk about what most people in society think death is, and obviously with our perspective, we may think of it differently.
Mm-hmm.
So how about you start?
Okay, well, I guess the reason, I don't know if we should say why we're talking about death, it's something that's relevant, I guess.
Well, I guess I should talk about it.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I just had it was a recent thing, I wouldn't say like a great friend, a good friend, but nonetheless a friend from high school died recently. And like I knew him decently well. We had a couple of classes together, and he was a great guy overall. But I never really thought that just knowing a person from a class would impact me.
Mm-hmm.
But strangely enough, it did. And a recent post that I did on spontaneous action, I made a video, which I haven't done in a really long time, and it was half inspired by him, half inspired by another person. But the idea was that, it's tough to think of, and tough to even understand, but the idea that we really don't have, an infinite amount of time on this earth. So my idea behind making that video was, that morning before I had made the video, I was doing absolutely nothing. For once, I had nothing to do that day, and I was sitting on my couch watching Netflix, which is not, in my eyes, productive towards becoming my best self, I guess. So I was like, I was thinking about his death and everything, and then a bunch of other things, and the idea of me starting to make videos again, being a creative outlet, was brought up into my head, and I realized, since I have nothing to do today, why not, pour some creativity into my life today? And I made the video, and it was my best work yet, and it felt good.
Well, because you were saying how you saw images of this friend you knew on a mountain in Colorado, and that's what inspired you, because he was doing something, right, with his life?
So he got me to start making videos again. And, I'm not trying to make this about me. It's more about, obviously, him and how he lived. He lived, from what I know, he did a lot of cool things. And the thing that inspired me most was seeing a picture of him. He went to Colorado. He lived in Colorado. He went to Colorado Boulder. And in one of the pictures that one of his friends put up, it was him standing on top of a mountain with, obviously, the Colorado Boulder flag up there. And I was thinking to myself, while sitting on the couch, I was like, what am I doing sitting on this couch? I gotta go live out my life, to the best that I can today. And so I decided to make the video.
Well, and I think a lot of people, when someone they know dies or death happens, it really makes them evaluate their lives, because it is, you really think like, wow, it's unexpected. Some of the time, hopefully most people die of old age, but sometimes, especially when you're young, it's unexpected, and it's like, oh my gosh, makes you reflect and think, what am I doing with my life? I need to live my life. Life is short, gotta make the most of it.
So we can actually go into the idea of death kind of being a rebirth as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously, his death had, rebirthed it was a passion for a while, my passion for creating short videos and films, and obviously I had lost it for a while. The last time I made a video was 3 years ago, but him dying kind of made me realize that, hey, maybe I should spend my time doing, the things that I like and being more creative a lot more often, because it's like, you never really do know if we're going to wake up from our sleep, or if, taking that drive out, we might not come back.
Yeah, it's sort of ties into other things we've been talking about in our podcast, like living life with no regrets and just keep on following your dreams. So And with death transitioning, like, I think a lot of our society views death as the end. Because it is, I mean...
It is for that physical body.
Yeah, it's, the end of death you can look at as winter, and, people die, but also, with death comes rebirth. There's something new. And that's where a lot of, ideas of what happens after we die come up. It's that rebirth of, an afterlife or reincarnation or whatever you choose to believe, but it's a new stage. So
you personally, what do you think? What do you think is
like my thoughts of death?
Yeah, your perspective on death.
Well, I used to believe in like an afterlife because I was raised Christian, but now I believe in reincarnation, and like I haven't actually seen some of my past lives, but I have a pretty good sense of what they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts, and right now, even though I still see death as sad, I wouldn't say a lot of people died in my family, but I guess I've had encountered death before, and it's sad because especially when you tie like a physical connection to someone and they're not there, it's like that absence is very strong.
The idea of attachment to everything being one of the sources of misery.
Yeah, Buddha, I think, said like the root of suffering is attachment.
Mm-hmm. But it's tough because if we're here, why not enjoy the things that we have?
Yeah, because we are in this physical world, so of course we do attach ourselves. But
I guess the idea is enjoy it without. It's really tough, Buddha's perspective on it, because it's like, yeah, go ahead and enjoy life, but like, don't get attached. That seems really hard.
Yeah, and I think, at least for me, it's like I'm a person that gets attached, and who's to say, if someone else I know dies, that it probably will be hard, but I think I just have to keep thinking, like, changing my perspective because I think attachment really focuses on me, like, I can't live with this person, or I'm so sad, and I should, like, focus on life goes on, their soul's in a better place, enjoying the memory,
Mm-hmm.
So, in a better place, or reincarnated into hopefully a better state. I don't know. It's
whatever. I mean, wherever they needed to go, they went. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right. As for me, death surprisingly is pretty often in my life. Surprisingly, I'm not sure if that's like a lesson that I needed to learn. If I did, I sure as hell learned it a while ago. Because death, obviously, it's a sad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's always tough to detach, and it's a lot harder when you know that person even more. If you spent your life with them, kind of deal. And obviously, I haven't had something like that, and I'm sure if I ever do, that will be tough. But it seems like I don't get as emotional nowadays when it comes to death, and that could be part because I don't know the person extremely well. Maybe I didn't spend as much time with them. I've had a lot of family members die in the past, 4 or 5 years. So, they're family. They're obviously pretty important in my life. I grew up with them as a kid. And I did feel some sadness and whatnot, but after rethinking of what death was to me, it kind of made it easier. Not in the sense of like, obviously I still miss the person, I wish they were here, but now it's a lot easier to let them go, to detach in a way, and not in like a like a dick way, like, oh, I'm getting rid of you kind of thing. More of like, I'm letting you transition in my mind.
So that's what death means to you, sort of.
So to me, death is like, obviously, the idea of a soul comes into play, and once we leave our body, death, think of it as energy. Energy it doesn't go away. It can't be destroyed. So it does just honestly transition, and it depends on where your soul needs to go. You could reincarnate into another person. You could reincarnate into the same damn person. Same freaking person, and live your whole life over again if you needed to, if you did something wrong or something. The idea of time doesn't constrict this. You could go. I remember reading something a while ago the idea of a person who had just died and they were talking to some other entity, and the entity was saying like, "Oh, do you remember, all your other lives that you lived?" And the soul was like, "Yeah, like I can't believe that this is happening right now. Like, I remember everything. Like, I feel like I know everything in the universe because it was reconnected with that Christ consciousness idea that um, Akashic records.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that vast
Yeah,
knowledge.
so you kind of get reconnected with all of that. But then the entity was like, "Well, you're not fully matured yet as a soul, so we're gonna send you back, or you want to be sent back yourself." And the soul was like, "Yeah, you're right. I do need to learn a lot more." And then the guy was like, "Okay, so you've already chosen to go. I guess this person was a modern time. Was the last death they had? They were a modern person. So the entity says you're going to be reincarnated as a Chinese girl living in the 1200s or something as a slave." And the guy was like, "How is that possible? I just lived that modern 2000 year age, I guess."
Yeah.
And the soul was like, "Well, you gotta understand." The entity was like, "You gotta understand that time doesn't really exist. Everything happens at once." But that's still tough to understand.
Like a parallel universe, sort of?
It's more of like, so Stephanie at work, she put it pretty well, which she does craniosacral therapy. So like she was telling me about those what does she call them, life journeys, that she can take you and put you in any time in your past where you had some kind of emotional trauma and help you get through it. It's a type of therapy.
Yeah.
So she was telling me that time is not what we think of it. Everything is happening right now. We just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, as in like there is only one moment. And we continue to live it. And you can access it whenever you want. I guess you just need to understand certain things. She explained it a lot better, but it kind of made sense.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that more because it's a hard concept for me.
It's always a hard concept because we're so used to the idea of time.
Yeah.
That it continues to move forward.
Well, and I think speaking of, because when you were talking about death, it brought up something about how our society views it. Because in the Western society, we see it as such a
physical thing.
Physical and a sad, depressing. We wear black. Back in the day, we would put curtains over mirrors so souls couldn't, enter. It was like a 3-day mourning period, and black is just this color of sadness and death, and that's what it's seen as. But in Eastern, especially China, people wear white at funerals, and they have a strong connection to their ancestors.
Yeah, they have a lot of rituals that they follow.
Yeah, so they see it as more of that rebirth, as we just see it as an end.
And it makes it tougher when you think of it as just an end.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, I will never, ever see that person again. And maybe, some people think like, oh, I'll see them in the afterlife or something, but it's nice to know that, or nice to believe anyways, that they're going to continue doing something.
Well, who knows? You may see them in like a next life. I know that happens with people connecting from past lives.
Well, like the idea of like soulmates and how a lot of them are just, this group of souls that understand each other so well, and through each life they are always like friends or family members.
Yeah.
And that's great. And the idea of soulmate itself, like it's not necessarily a person that you fall in love with.
Yeah.
Because it's people that you love, that you surround yourself with in each lifetime.
Yeah, it just can be a different form of love maybe each lifetime.
Exactly. And then we could talk about twin flames, but we're talking more about the idea of and I think that's honestly it for me. I have nothing really else to add on to this. I
get going.
Gotta get going to go to the service, so unless you have something else to add.
No, I just think that just shifting our perspectives on death and not seeing it as such a sad thing, and having your grief, but also
think of it as a freeing thing. You're no longer stuck in a physical body.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose to think of it that way, that we have the potential to do something else. You've detached from this physical, and when you talking about dimensions, when you detach from this physical 3D, everything else becomes so much easier when you want to create something, when you want to build something. So in a sense, they're having a hell of a good time if they're chilling up in a slightly higher dimension than we are.
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing else to say on that.
All right, well, I guess that's our 2 cents on it.
Yep.
This was fun. I mean, death. I feel like death is always a little tough to talk about, especially when it's like something that's happening right now.
Yeah, it's a sensitive subject, but
it's important to talk about.
Yeah.
And every time you talk about something that's tough and you get that fresh perspective in there, things always seem to become better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's all for us today.
All right.
Hope you guys enjoyed.